This is how to get your point across to the 4 different personality types. Pretty cool graphics, huh? My name's Karen Smith, and this is how to get your point across to the 4 different personality types. Now, what we're going to look at here is based on the work of David Kolb and a couple of others who were also looking at this area of how to learn back in the 80s and early 90s, and they were Honey and Mumford. But the details of who exactly said what is not as critical as a quick look at the cycles that Kolb outlined and the implications that has for the personality types. Now, when we learn anything, basically the point that Kolb was making is that there's kind of a cycle in our learning, and of course we take this cycle on many times in the day, many times in our lives. This is not just a stages throughout life. This is a learning cycle. This is how we learn constantly. So first of all, as you can see, there's the concrete experience. Then on that we go out, for example, I keep looking at the learning cycle, and I think of motorcycles, so we'll use that as an example. So just say you go out and you have your first experience riding a motorcycle. So this is the first time that you get onto some kind of a machine. You've got the accelerator in your right hand. You've got the clutch on your left hand. You've got the gear, your left foot, and you've got the brake on your right foot. Now, there are very few other introductory machines that you're going to get to use. Have to use both hands and both feet to operate. But that's what happens on a motorcycle, so it's a pretty full-on experience for you. So you get on. Now, maybe you're not good at coordinating between your left and your right hand, or you forget about which is the brake and which is the point is, your first ride on a motorcycle can be quite memorable. Now, what happens after that? Whether you came off, whether you stalled it out, no matter what happens. Seconds later, minutes later, you start thinking, oh, there's the reflective and the observation stage. We think about what we just did. Then the very next thing that we start to do is we start to think, well, what if I, and then we start to recognize, gosh, what we need to do is when the clutch is going out, we need to slowly bring on the throttle. And we start to abstract and conceptualize about what went wrong and why it went wrong. And then we start to think about, therefore, what we need to do again. And we start to then, we go out, we'll pick up the bike again, put it into gear, and try it all over again. And then we start the whole cycle one more time. Now, each one of us who has a personality, will be more comfortable in one of these places than in any others. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say that we more naturally do our reflective process anchored in one of these areas. We are thinking about what we just experienced more from the feelings of what we just experienced, or others because we prefer to rationalize everything and put everything neatly into an organized structure. Another person yet is still, their mind is pulling them very, very much to, okay, yes, but what does that mean for the next time I do it? Each one of us has there's a gravitational pull to one of these, and this is kind of reflected in our personality styles. And this is just important to know because the filter that each one of us observes something through or learns something through is going to be a little bit more heavily weighted toward the concrete experience for some, toward reflective observation for others, or perhaps toward abstract conceptualization or active experimentation for others. So the activist tends to look at and filter everything that they see, hear, and learn about through the concrete experience filter. The advocate is going to go through that, is going to focus on that reflective observation of what was just experienced, and then how we then would look forward to the implications for that. And still yet another would be more comfortable with the abstract conceptualization of process, and then the other one still more focused on how this applies and how we can utilize this information to improve the situation in the future. So the point is that these are the stages of growth. These are the types of personalities that sit more with that in that area of learning. But how this applies to you when you walk into a room, you've got a room full of people. You've got a room full of 4 basic personality types. Or perhaps you're walking into a room with just one person, and this is a very important meeting. You haven't had the chance to discover yet what kind of a personality type this person is. So you're going to need to ensure that you speak to, get through those filters that each one of those personality types has the propensity to assess things through. You're going to need to make sure that you explain or present your message in a way that can skip through all of those filters, maybe not all at once, but one after the other. And that's why we need to look at the questions. The activist asks why. The advocate is the reflective, will ask what if. The theorist or scholastic will ask what for. And the pragmatist, the techie, will ask how. So all you have to do to be able to reach 90, 95, 97, maybe 99% of the people in the room, hopefully 100% of that one person that might stand in front of you. How to reach that one person, get through that filter and speak to their values, speak to their world, speak to what stimulates them and what can enable them to take action. Answer all of these questions. So your message is going to need to have why you should utilize, or why that person, you speak to them, and you speak to that person, why you should utilize this program or buy this product, and how it will benefit you personally. So with the emphasis there on explaining why, you also need to then add to that what this product will do so that it will practically accomplish these things. And the next, how this product does what it does, how it works, and therefore the process that it uses, so that you're getting inside the mind of the techie, for example. Then also, what creative things other than the obvious can you do with this that can be powerful, useful, and another good reason as to why, and perhaps the reason for some, as to why it's good for them to use your program, your product. So that, in short, or they, in short, are the 4 questions that you need to infuse into your message to make sure that you can reach powerfully and persuasively the 4 main personality types that you will have standing, sitting, or being before you in almost every situation. Have a wonderful day, and may you get your message out well.